Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in this evening's podcast, we're going to be reviewing the big game which took place over the weekend. Man U running away surprise winners over Liverpool. And of course, major upsets in the push for the top four in the EPL. Now, joining me this evening to review these matches, we have first time on the podcast, JJ.
Thank you very much. Big up.
And, and of
Glad to
course,
be
we
here,
have
guys. I appreciate
returning
it.
Christophe.
Good to be back, viewers.
Yes, indeed, JJ. Welcome to the podcast. And Christoph is a regular on the show, but it's good to see some new faces and a Manchester United fan at that. And I'm going to kick things off right away, JJ, by bringing you into the fore. What's your thoughts on that Manchester United win over Liverpool in the FA Cup quarterfinals?
It was if you're a true Man United fan, and like I said, thank you so much, Rafa, for inviting me to the show. Christoph, appreciate it, you guys. And big up everyone watching. But yeah, it was a big game for us. And as a true diehard United fan, it was really good. Obviously, Ahmad has to learn about taking off his shirt. You know what I mean? He was already on a yellow card. You can't celebrate by taking off your shirt and getting sent off because what if Liverpool, scored and we're gone to penalties. And so we just have to learn from that. That's the only thing I can say. We didn't have a lot of players, number six missing, and a lot of things going on with Casemiro. And people were thinking, can we rely on the box to box with McTominay and with Mano? And the brilliant change that was made was the coach got frustrated. He said Liverpool was killing us in the midfield. We need to control the midfield. We need someone that can control the ball and is confident with the ball. And that's Ericsson for us. That's the only guy we really have that can really do that for us right now. But he's a liability defensively. You can run past him like that. So and it worked. And it controlled the possession of the game. At one point it was tilted. Liverpool was like 60 some percent. And he came in and just really controlled the possession of the ball, control the player, and he has those lob passes right past Van Dijk and all your whole Gomez, everybody on the defense. And with Rashford even having that ball right there, it was a great ball over the top of your defense. So he really came in and did a good job as a whole in mid, you know. So yeah.
Definitely. Credit must be given to this Manchester United team. They really came forward, and I mean, what can you say? Disappointing result for Liverpool. Had the game, but in my opinion, threw it away. Due to some poor tactical, I would say, changes. I think Klopp has to take this one on the chin. But Christoph, I'll bring you in at this point. I mean, we predicted that Liverpool should be runaway winners in this one. We have to admit we definitely got that one wrong. But what's your take on this result?
Well, I have to say it was a brilliant game for the neutrals. Very disappointing for Liverpool and Liverpool fans, but this will be a very big morale boost, I think, for United for the rest of the season. And it will be even more surprising if they go on to, possibly win the FA Cup because I believe they'll face Coventry next. So they have a path to the final. So we should be seeing United in the final. But I mean, um, like I said, it's a good game for the neutrals, but boy, the defensive aspect of the game from both teams was horrendous, to say the least. I felt,
Yeah, I mean, as we spoke in the preview, the game was going as I had called it up to 80 plus minutes. I predicted that Manchester United would score first, and so said, so done. I predicted Liverpool should bounce back and take the lead, which again, so said, so done. Came from one goal down, was now leading 2-1. But I thought where Liverpool made the mistake was the fact that they got numerous opportunities to score that third goal and failed. And I thought that's where the game went away from them. In fact, Manchester United should have won that game in regulation time when
Yes.
Rashford was one-on-one
Rashford.
with the keeper and, kicked it wide. So credit must be given to Manchester United. Definitely, I'm the first to admit when I'm wrong. Definitely got this one wrong, and all credit must be given to Manchester United for hanging in there and pretty much grinding out a result. A lot of mental strength as well to have gone behind in extra time also, and not only to equalize, but finding the winner late into that added on extra time period. So kudos and congratulations to the Manchester United fans. And, they should be overjoyed by this result. I can only look at the silver lining at this point in time for Liverpool, that it's one less competition to concentrate on. So let's hope that they can rebound and put all their energies into the EPL title push. But JJ, just to bring you in at this point, I mean, in terms of the tactics, you spoke earlier about the tactics of Ten Hag. Much credit must be given to Ten Hag. What's your take on the coaching for this game and just Ten Hag overall performance in the season thus far?
All right, so the tactics, he's a very stubborn coach. He's trying to play a 4-2-3-1 system, every game. 4-2-3-1, four at the back. We have the two number six, have a number six in there, number eight usually, and the number eight is free to go box to box. Right now we use that for McTominay. He has defensive roles and he has a offensive role, but you have to be fit to get back for that. Casemiro burns out. We know that as a number six, trying to go up there and playing a false eight and a false six. So tactically, we might need more protection for the defense because we're conceding a lot of goals. And also Onana has came in and given us that get extra player that comfortable in the ball, because usually when we're trying to pass off from the back and you pass it back to De Gea, he could lose the ball right in front of the goal. He's just uncomfortable with the ball. De Gea will just kick it downfield and get rid of it. Onana will put on a little shift and this and that and shift your entire defense, and he gets it right down there. He'll blast it 50, 60 yards for outlet pass right over your defense if your defense is pushing the high line. So tactically, I like what we're doing. It's just the one striker up front right now is hurting us, but we don't have a striker, which I understand the system between 4-2-3-1. Oilen can't stay healthy. Martial is our backup striker. When is the last time you see Martial? Rashford is not a natural striker. We all know that. He's a winger. He's either a number 7, you put him or on the right as a number 11. But he's not, right. He's not a number 9. And so we're lacking a number 9, and we got to make sure we invest in that. As far as, the Champions League, as we know, and the Europa League, once you start getting to high stages of those competitions, it's going to start beating up your squad, because you got to put out the best squads for every game, at least some of your best squads, or you're not going to go far. And so us not progressing too far in the Champions League was probably the best thing for us. We got wiped out defensively. Martinez went down. Varane couldn't keep up. Maguire. We were down to our academy players. Imagine being in the quarterfinals of the Champions League with academy players. So you need a bigger squad, and that's the only squad in the country that, or in the competition, can do that is Man City. They have literally 3 squads that are top quality players. They can rotate. Right. They've been doing that for so many years. And that's what we used to do at Man United. We used to have this big squad, quality players for all the competitions. Now we're running on just thin, just fumes. And so I give the coach credit for what he's done so far based on what he's been given on the squad.
Interesting perspective there, JJ. Definitely some interesting perspective. But Christophe, in terms of this game versus Liverpool, what impressed you the most about this Manchester United performance?
What impressed me from Man U is
I mean, as I said,
if you recall, all season I've said Man U can't score anything but a counter-attack.
Right.
They impressed me in breaking down Liverpool and scoring goals. Now, I don't know if it's a case where they have been working on that and improved it, or it's just down to Liverpool's poor defending. We will have to see in the coming weeks. But that is what impressed me from Man United. They did not give up. They fought until the end and they got the win. And they got goals that weren't just counter-attacking goals. So I'm very impressed there.
Definitely. Let's start for you, Rafa. Guys, Liverpool that game shot 25 times. We shot 28. They had 11 on target. We had 11 on target, right? And we all know we had 4 that went in. They had 3. Possession of the ball, they had 59% possession. And that's what I was telling you. At one point in the game, in the second half, Van Dijk was walking with the ball.
Right. Yeah,
walking with the ball.
that's the part of the game that I thought Liverpool should have gotten that third goal and killed off the game. They created the opportunity, but really failed to score. And to me, that's where they lost this game. I don't think they
As a
lost the
United
game in
fan, to
the
see
yeah.
Van Dijk walking with the ball, that was upsetting because it showed that Liverpool was so comfortable in possession of the ball that Van Dijk was walking with it. And Van Dijk always barking at people. He passed it back to somebody else, to Gomez or whoever, or that one guy you guys have in the midfield now.
McAllister,
Slow. What's his name?
Sobosai, Sobosai.
Somebody, I like that kid. He's good. And he was screaming at somebody, Van Dijk. But at one point, he passed it back to him, and Van Dijk just had the ball looking around. We can't be doing that at Manchester United. So, too much possession of the ball. Even though we came out winners, we cannot get away with that much possession for a team. We got to
Yeah,
press.
it has been an issue with Manchester United all season in terms of control of the game. Hence the reason Christoph always referenced that really the main way that Manchester United score is really on the counter attack. So when you're playing against a team like Liverpool, a team like Man City, which dominate possession, then it almost plays into United hands versus a team which isn't known for a possession. Let's say you're playing against a West Ham or a Brentford, then you may struggle to break these teams down. But their main source of attack is usually that counter, and a couple of goals in this game came off the counter as well. So while they did create a number of opportunities, a number of openings versus this Liverpool team, they were always a threat on that counter attack as well. And again, hats off to United, impressive win. And they move on to the semi-finals. And congratulations to all the Manchester United fans out there. Liverpool just have to we have to lick our wounds. And as I said, look for the silver lining. And our focus now is obviously on that EPL push. And this is a nice way to segue into the fact that some other EPL games were on this weekend. Christoph, talk to us. I mean, we've been talking about Aston Villa and Spurs of late, and we saw Spurs going down to a shot defeat, 3-0 by Fulham. Talk to us about that game, Christoph. That game sent the cat amongst the pigeon in terms of that push for the top four.
Well, I must say it was absolutely embarrassing for Spurs coming into this game to lose 3-0 to a much weaker London rival, especially coming in after the back of a 4-0 win against Aston Villa, against top four rivals this season, only to lose against what, 11th place Fulham? Embarrassing. And it's to me it's not like I don't feel like Fulham did anything, particularly spectacular or, very good. I think it was just a case of them taking the chances that were presented to them because I believe they only had 3 shots on target and all 3 scored.
Yeah. I mean, as I spoke in the preview, that Brazilian striker, Muniz, Christoph, he is probably the hottest striker in the league right now. Anything he
Not Ollie
touches really turn
Watkins.
to goal.
Ollie
No,
Watkins.
Watkins have gone off the boil in recent games. Muniz, right now, he is the
Kai
hottest thing
Havertz.
in the EPL right now. Anything he touches turn to goal, and he was at the forefront of this Fulham victory versus Spurs. He really set this Fulham team up for that win, and Spurs must be feeling rather down based on that result when, they could have put greater pressure on that Aston Villa team, who subsequently drew 1-1 with West Ham as well. So both teams really dropping points, and I'm not sure, the race is still on. I mean, Manchester United is really lurking in that fifth position. And if these two teams keep dropping points, then Manchester United may yet get an automatic transfer. I mean, an automatic spot in the top four. I mean, JJ, at this point in time, can Manchester United make a push for fourth?
I think so. And I think, that just kind of, piggyback on the game you're talking about with Fulham
Right.
and Spurs with Tottenham. The thing about Tottenham is, first of all, they're not in Europe. So, they can manage week to week by playing a very thin squad. We all know they're using even Son as a striker. Who in the Premier League thinks Son is a striker? No one. He's a number 7. He used to be on the left, and cutting in, or you put him on as a number 11, but he's not a true out and out striker.
A
So
true
he's
nine.
playing as a striker, right? And they have Johnson, Madison as a 10. So they imagine them rotating the squad. and in Europe. And so they're kind of where they need to be right now, Spurs. They're gonna be having those kind of games. And the same with Fulham. Fulham is kind of the same thing. They're playing week to week. And any week you can have William come out good. Iwobi is in there. So they have really good players. The Premier League is really balanced, guys. I think so. As far as answer your question about push for top four, I really believe we have a chance because I was looking at all the people above us, who we're chasing. Aston Villa, tough schedule ahead. Spurs, pretty tough schedule ahead. Not saying we're chasing Arsenal, but they could also shake things up on the table because they have a tough schedule ahead as well, and Man City. So if they, kind of keep dropping points and making it closer as far as the gap, I really feel like Manchester United can really close the gap and get at least fifth, which I think is a Champions League spot going into next season. But
Yeah,
even
yeah.
then,
Yeah,
with the
fifth
new
may
format,
may possibly be a Champions League spot. Depends on how deep these English team go in the European competition. England may get a fifth spot when traditionally it would be four spots that goes to
exactly.
the English league. Based on the performance of the teams in the European competition, then they may get a fifth spot. So definitely, the higher in the table a team like Manchester United finishes, then I mean, anything is possible. They can still yet get that Champions League berth by finishing in fifth position.
I
But
think Rafa would help with all the players coming back. I don't know about Martinez at the back because he has the ACL kind of MCL issue he's dealing with. But with most of the players coming back defensively to kind of give us that good line, and then we get some good number sixes in there with Casemiro coming back, and maybe we can add in Mason Mount. We can play a false six and a number eight. You can go box to box. Get some of these guys back in there, and then get a striker up front. I think we can make a push closing out the season here, and then make a final assessment, hopefully get to the finals in Wembley and in that last game of the season like we did last year in FA Cup and make a final assessment, locking out the season. So
definitely. I'm sure that will definitely be the hope of many Manchester United fans. And of course, Ten Hag, I mean, if he was to win or even make it to the finals, then his job may yet be secured for next season, Christoph. So all
I
to play for in terms of the Manchester United season.
I wouldn't say that. He could go on to the FA Cup final, win the final, and still lose his job. I don't think it's a guarantee because
Mm.
we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. There seems to be some squad disharmony throughout the season, and that could be a factor in him retaining his job next season.
Definitely an interesting perspective there. New owners at Manchester United are new
mm.
partial owners, are a number of new personnel coming in terms of the football relation side of the equation. So as you say, the Manchester United hierarchy may yet make an assessment at the end of the season, and who to tell? Possibly a new coach may be coming in, or possibly they hold faith with Ten Hag. Time is the master. In time, we'll see what transpire. But Christoph, talk to us a little bit about that Aston Villa draw versus West Ham. I mean, you had predicted an Aston Villa win, if memory served me correctly, but
I did.
Aston Villa managed to get a draw. What's your take on that game?
Managed to get a draw. Um, it's a game where West Ham has had such uh, inconsistent form all season. You would have expected Aston Villa to have won easily. Even though they're playing away from home, it's very surprising. I'm not sure what went wrong for them. I think maybe West Ham just came out with the better game plan on the day.
Possibly, Aston Villa away record hasn't been the best this season. Much of their points have come at home. So, in all honesty, this draw should not have surprised many, but with the sort of form that Aston Villa was entering this game with, and as you mentioned, the sort of inconsistency that this West Ham team has had over the course of the season, then and Aston Villa, of course, pushing to remain in that top four, then you would have thought that they would have gone all out to get a victory in this one. But of course, the suspension of their captain Magin and the
Injuries.
injury to Watkins midweek, may have hampered their progress in that regard. But JJ, give us your take on that game and the prospects of Aston Villa. You've been seeing them all season. They've been in the top four pretty much the majority of the season as well. They must be the surprise package of this EPL season thus far.
And Spurs. But definitely Aston Villa. No surprise because of Unai Emery, and we all know his history and a good coach. But they're also in the latter stages of the Europa League, right?
Right? Yes.
Um, I believe are they in the Conference League?
Yeah, the Europa Conference League.
They're in the Europa Conference.
That's right.
So they're gonna have some games piling on. They're gonna have to start putting out better squads for every game, closing out the season. Can't do they have the squad depth to close out the season? So we will see. Same thing with West Ham. West Ham is in the Europa League as well, and so
Yeah,
and they're
the
favored
conference.
to
Yeah,
the actual Europa League, right? Because they
yeah,
won
the
the
Europa
Conference
League.
League last year, and they're
Yep.
still in it. So they're expected to win it as well. So a lot of these teams, especially both teams here, coming down this stretch, I feel like and being forced to put out good squads, no longer hiding behind your squads in all the competition, whether it's FA Cup you're in or whatever cup you're in, you have to put out a good squad. It's gonna test these teams and their squad depth, I think, and we'll see them start dropping points.
Well, in terms of your top four, though, JJ, who do you think are the teams that will finish in the top four come end of season? And tell us who you think your champion will be as well.
So in my order, personally, I think it's Man City. Sorry, Arsenal fans. I think it's Man City winning it again. I feel like Arsenal is going to somehow slip up here, but I think they'll maintain second spot. Liverpool as well will be third, and I think we can Man United again if we get everything right. We can somehow squeak out a top four here, maybe a final game of the season and getting that 1 point we need to get it. I think we're going to get it though. That's my
Mm.
top four. So again, it's
Got
City winning it, Arsenal second, Liverpool third, and United fourth.
Okay. Any thoughts on your potential top four there, Christopher? Is it still too early to call? You've been shying away from giving us your predictions last season. I mean, with now 10 games left in the season, coming back from the international break. I mean, it, the writing must be on the wall at this point. I mean, it's still very tight at the top of the table. 1 point separating first to third. I think the top three teams are guaranteed. It's just a matter of which order they will fall. And then, of course, that fight for fourth continues. It seems as if with points dropped by Aston Villa and Spurs in recent game week, then it opens up the door just enough for Manchester United to possibly enter the conversation in terms of a top four finish. And, having beaten Liverpool now in the FA Cup quarterfinals, that sort of confidence may very well galvanize them for the future. And of course, they may very well have a easier schedule on paper as well when compared to Spurs and Aston Villa. So, Christoph, talk to us. What says you? Which teams are your top four? And I mean, give us your prediction. Who will take it? Are you still back in Arsenal?
Um, right now, I think Arsenal win the league. Um, I think the top three remains the same. I think it will be Arsenal first, Liverpool second, Man City third. That fourth spot, though, given how Man U beat Liverpool, I wouldn't count them out as yet for that top four spot, given the momentum that they could potentially generate for the remainder of the season. So I think that fourth spot is up for grabs. So it could be it's between United, Tottenham, and Villa at the moment. I am going to go with Villa right now, but I think Man U and Tottenham have they have the potential, but Tottenham is showing that they might be running out of steam. I don't think they're only playing EPL matches, right? And
That's right.
we're seeing where they've become inconsistent. Now, I don't know if that's down to injuries, given that majority of their key players are back. It's very questionable that performance against Fulham could just be a blip. Could
It
just
could
be a
just be
blip.
a one-off, possibly.
Yeah, it could just be a one-off. Um, Aston Villa, like you said, is playing in the Europa Conference League, and they do have a number of injuries that have piled up, and the captain is suspended for EPL action. Um, it's a question of will Unai Emery put his focus on getting into the top four, or will he spread and try to win that Europa Conference? I think that's going to be a major factor for them. For Manu, they will definitely be trying to win the FA Cup at this point. can they use that momentum that they generate to bring themselves into the top four? But I'm going to go with the current top four. The current places is what the league will finish with.
Interesting perspective there. I mean, for me, I somewhat echo your sentiments in terms of the top four. Sentimentally, Aston Villa is my sentimental pick, with the likes of Leon Bailey, the Jamaican, representing that team. So from a sentimental point of view and the fact that they've been hovering in that top four all season, it's hard for me to pick against Aston Villa at this point in time. So I feel they will maintain their top four status and finish in fourth. Where I may have some difference in terms of your picks is really in the top three. For me, I'm gonna back Liverpool all the way. Klopp's final hurrah, being beaten in the FA Cup at this point in time, it has to galvanize this team and really push them into gear. Most of the senior players are now coming back from injury as well, possibly not fully fit. The likes of Salah was withdrawn early in that Manchester United game, but pretty much it seems as if Klopp is really saving him for the run-in. So for me, I'm gonna go with Liverpool finishing first. I think Arsenal is gonna crumble under pressure with now being in the still making some progress in the Champions League. I feel Arsenal is gonna crumble under the pressure and finish in third. So to me, it's gonna be a straight shootout between Liverpool and Man City. Again, Liverpool may very well be the only hope for the English teams to stop Man City from repeating a treble. So, many persons are not talking about this, but Man City is still fully engulfed in three competitions. They are right up there in the EPL. They are right up there in the Champions League as well. And it's hard for me to see them not going to the FA Cup final. Also, almost a repeat of last season where Manchester United versus Man City in the FA Cup finals, and of course, Man City making it again to the Champions League final also. So it's hard for me to see Man City not making it to the FA Cup final, and Liverpool may provide the only hope of the English teams to stop this Man City team from repeating a treble. So it's Liverpool first for me, Man City second, Arsenal third, and Aston Villa rounding out the top four. Spurs, I think, possibly should hold on for fifth, and Manchester United finish in sixth. So that's how I see it. But JJ, any final thoughts in terms of the football overall? What can we expect for the rest of the season? And just give us your overall take on the season thus far.
I think it's been a good season for Arsenal. Arsenal 2 seasons in a row. They've came out, and last season they did a bottle job at the end. And they kind of choked up the lead and everything else. Will they repeat the same thing again? Especially now they have the Champions League on their shoulders. I think we're kind of watching them for that. Liverpool with the like you just said, the whole goodbye for Liverpool for Jurgen Klopp after years of just good service there. It's been a really good season. Man City with everything going on with charges and 115. Everybody's typing on Twitter. And when are they going to be actually penalized, if ever? Are they going to wait till Pep leaves, which we all know he is the brilliant mind behind what's going on, along with the support he gets from ownership. Aston Villa, like I said, with the odd man there, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I just think overall the Premier League's been great. A lot of investments coming in. United getting at least a new ownership. Even those 25 or 20-something% stake, not a whole lot of stake, but it's still a good amount of stake where you have a voice in the meetings. And they have a football mind versus someone that's here in Florida where I'm at and just giving an opinion on Zoom. You have someone there in England on the ground who know how to play ball, know what a good ball looks like, and don't waste $100 million on that. So I think overall it's very good. I think Chelsea, very surprising. People are, going crazy with Sterling and saying he's not good enough. You have Newcastle who fell off terribly. Their squad couldn't hold up with the Champions League and the Prem. And like I said, if you don't have a big enough squad, you shouldn't be forcing yourself to go in the Champions League or even in the Europa. Because when you get beyond a certain stage, even in the Europa, it feels like you're still in the Champions League. The teams that came down, it's a tough competition to win. We wanted, with Mourinho, it's a tough thing to win. You need a good squad and big squads. And so I think the Premier League is good right now. I feel bad for Burnley, and what's going on with their coach there. I forgot his name. He played for
Company.
City. Company,
Vincent
Vincent
Company.
Company. It just can't seem like Burnley's gonna break out, like they're gonna get regulated. But it's a good season. I like Luton Town, very tough team. They might stay up, and I just feel like the Premier League has very top some good teams in there, and it's been an overall good season so far. And we have 10 games left for most teams, so we'll see how it comes down. I disagree with your lineup. I think I really didn't feel like my Man City was gonna pull this off. They have a big squad. You know, can Arsenal hold on? I just don't know. It's going to heat up for them now with the Champions League. And they're not used to that. They're not
Right,
used to
right.
that. If they lose the first leg, will they all hold their heads down, knowing that they got Liverpool next? And now Liverpool get beat. So they have to figure out, will they close the season out? And everyone has their eyes on Arsenal, I think.
Indeed, indeed. Christoph, to you, any final thoughts? Overview of this weekend's set of fixtures.
Um, I think this was a very shocking week in England in football. Premier League results as well as the FA Cup, shocking from Aston Villa, shocking from Tottenham, and even more shocking from Liverpool to kind of give up a game
Ah,
that they were expected to win easily
and should have won.
and should have won easily. I don't know. I think it might have been complacency, but if they do plan to go on to try and win the title, they'll need to get rid of the complacency that crept in that game. Not because you think Man U is a pushover, that should be happening. Um, Man City has a very deep squad, very good squad. Yeah, I don't see them repeating the treble this season. I do see them. I see them going to the FA Cup final. I don't know about the Champions League final as yet, given that they are in a very tough half block. But whoever wins that block will definitely be going to the final because we know it's either they'll face if they beat Madrid, they'll face Arsenal or Bayern. I think Arsenal beat Bayern, to be honest. In years past, I would have said they'd lose, but Bayern looking dreadful. So I don't think the pressure is going to get to Arsenal this season, especially with all their players coming back fully fit.
Right. Well, there you have it, viewers and subscribers. I just like to thank JJ and Christoph for really coming on board and sharing with us their profound thoughts and their opinions. Just like to thank you again, viewers and subscribers, for tuning in to us here on Beating the Press podcast. Continue to support us by hitting that like button. Of course, leave your comments. And if you haven't subscribed as yet, feel free to hit that subscription bell. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.